We've got some breaking news, not entirely unexpected, but certainly noteworthy in that Dustin Pedroia, per Ken Rosenthal's Twitter account, has announced his retirement as an active player. What a career. And Petey, as he was known, only had but a handful of appearances over the last 3 years because of chronic knee injuries and surgeries. But what an impactful time he had in Boston. A lifetime Red Sox who ranks very highly on that distinguished all-time list in a number of categories. 3 World Series rings, even though he didn't play in 2018, only played in 3 games during that season because of the knee trouble. He was still on the roster, still a member of the team. Of course, won a Rookie of the Year, an MVP award. He was a 4-time All-Star and was really the heart and soul of those championship Red Sox teams between 2007 and 2014. Red Sox Twitter account sending this out. This is great. Thank you for every laser hit, double play turned, hop at second, filthy jersey, electric soundbite, and World Series championship. He probably cemented his legacy as one of the Red Sox all-time greats in 2013, his final All-Star year. Kenny, a big year for him. Had almost 725 plate appearances that year. There's bold type there. There are rings, there are individual accomplishments. He did it all in his decade plus in Boston.
Matt, one of my all-time favorites. And he was a second-round pick of the Red Sox out of Arizona State in 2004. And as he came up through the minors, I do not recall a player who was criticized by scouts more. They perceived him to be one of the early analytics darlings. They did not like him. They did not think physically he had the tools. And he proved everyone who was critical of him wrong. And in later years, I would often say, man, I never heard scouts rip a player like they ripped you. And I would see him in the clubhouse. This week, months could go by, and he would yell at me in his unique, profane way, how do those blank scouts think now? What do they think now? And that was him. He had an edge to him. He had fire. He was a complete player in many ways. He was a winning player. And the shame of this is that the career was cut short by the knee injuries. And of course, the late slide by Machado in 17 didn't help matters. And it just never got to the point where he could contribute again on the field. Might he have been a Hall of Famer otherwise? I'm not sure, but he could have been at least someone who got serious consideration. Loved watching him play. We'll miss him. And just a fantastic career.
Yeah, I tell you what, Ken, this one hurt for me. You talked about all the different things about his size and his competitiveness and what got him to this point. But I'm always going to think about Dustin Pedroia as one of my all-time favorites. And there's 2 things, Matt, in that board that stood out: lasers and sound bites. And it takes me back to a story that I'd heard, and I had to ask him about it when I saw him in Boston, and he took me through this story word by word. And then I confirmed it later when Joe Mauer came to New York to play the Yankees, and he told me the same thing. So here's the story. Dustin's at the plate, and he fouls off like 10 balls. They're playing in Minnesota at the Dome. And he steps out of the batter's box, and Mauer looks at him and says, I don't know how to get you out. And Ken, you'll love this. And Dustin says without hesitation, well, so neither does the rest of the league, Joe. And he gets back in, he hits a base hit to left field, and he's standing on first base, he tips his cap at Joe and says, I told you! I mean, is that not Dustin Pedroia? I'll never forget that story, but it was awesome. And I'm going to miss that because all that. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I just want to jump in. Sorry, I thought you were wrapping up there. My favorite Dustin Pedroia story has nothing to do with him during a game. It was probably about, 8 years ago. Smoltz and I are in Boston doing a game together. We get to the ballpark really early. He's out there hitting before the game in a pair of shorts and a T-shirt, and he's got a bucket of balls on the field at Fenway. And Smoltz yells to him, hey, hit one up here. So Pedroia flips himself a fungo and hits it right in through the window that we were standing in. Like, you could have sat out there for months and not done that. He did it on the first flip, hit it right to him. I'm like, what? Have you guys been practicing this? He was one of a kind, and he will be missed for sure.